SRA Nation, and welcome to Season 12.
Today is going to be a new challenge, aside from being Sanford. We're racing on the surface of the sun, apparently.
Heading down towards the main start line.
Maximizing that track just behind. That's exactly what we were talking about. That one corner. So critical to your lap time. You have to send it. Misses the apex curving there by a little bit.
Everybody's now bunched up, and you do not want that.
Rewind now at the end of Sector 1 in the spot you really don't want to, but the fight's not over.
Still there on the inside, and the McLaren's still not going to give the place up.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, SRA Nation, and welcome to Season 13, Round 6. We are here at Mount Panorama for Division 4 for the SRA GT3 Team Series. I am your host, Big Daddy, joined in the booth this evening by Matt Anderson. Matt, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic and ready for the mountain of pain.
Indeed. Mount Panorama is always exciting, and I'm sure tonight, this race will be no different.
Absolutely. We've already had some exciting racing this season so far here in Division 4. However, we've only had one man rise to the occasion and get multiple wins so far, and that is Anderson. Different Anderson.
Yeah, not me, Anderson, unfortunately. Aaron Anderson.
Yep, Aaron Anderson with 2 wins at back-to-back at Round 4 at Nürburgring in the wet, and then the following week at Zolder in the dry. Alongside him, Moffat opened up to a very commanding Round 1 at Suzuka, followed up by Ramirez at Watkins for Round 2, beating out Kevin Johnston by just 0.4 of a second there at Watkins. Misano was where Sean Williams really put his authority, really stamped it onto the season. And since then, he has just kind of commanded the points lead and started to run away with it a little bit. And of course, as we mentioned just a moment ago, rounds 4 and 5 were Nürburgring and Zolder, where Anderson was the first multi-time winner for this.
Yeah, Anderson is starting to catch up for sure, but as you mentioned, Sean Williams has over 80 points on his closest competitor in second place, Ryan Garrity.
Yes, he does, and so he has really taken control of this. I think, one race where he finished off the podium, and it was round 1 at Suzuka, and that during the race he finished on the podium. He had a couple of incidents in the race that cost him a little bit of time penalties after the fact. So one race off the podium, but still finished P5. That is a tough season to try to overcome if you're not Sean Williams. Yeah,
that's consistency is key, right? And he definitely appears to be getting that job done. That's how you win a championship.
Absolutely, and we'll go ahead and take a quick look at points here. Got Sean Williams, like we mentioned, 389 points, so 84 points over Ryan Garrity. Much closer battle back here for second place with Garrity, Cumber, and Moffat all within actually not about 10 points, all within 10 points of each other. 305, 297, and 296 for the three of them, just 1 point separating Cumber and Moffat. Kevin Johnston sitting in P5 with 252 points, certainly well within striking distance. All 5 of them are gold drivers, and then we have our first silver driver. Here in SRA, we do run 2 concurrent championships. We have a gold drivers championship, silver drivers championship. Rosenthal is sitting P6 in points overall with 251 points and is leading the silver championship by, let's see, 30 points, 20, 25.
23.
There you go. Math isn't my strongest point.
I cheated. I looked at the sheet.
And then we got Aaron Anderson, who was actually a mid-season promotion, came up from Division 5. has already made his way all the way up to P7 in points overall, despite effectively missing the first couple rounds. And then, so it's already have climbed up to 246 points. Tied with Steve Foster sitting in 8th. They are followed very closely by Justin Griswold, 9 with 200. Whereas in P10 with 200. Ref Cab, the second of our silver drivers, so still on the podium position for the championship, but of course had the points lead going into Zolder. I'm sure he would love the opportunity to claim that. Sitting at 228 points, Eric Rudderum, who we've seen glimpses of brilliance from this season, sitting in P12 with 227 points. Stephen Music, the other part of Better Call Steve, teammate to Steve Foster, sitting in 8th with 200 and P. Johnston, one of 3 Johnstons here in Division 4, and 14th with 223 points. So we have a 3-way tie for P13. Music, Johnston, and Giordano, all sitting at 223 points. Jabri GT sitting in 16th at 221 points. Stephen Dutton in P17 at 214. Moorhead, 5 points. Matt Mattisey, first of the 2 Bentley drivers, 19 at 187 points. P20 is going to be rounded out by Landon P. Giordano's teammate in the Honda NSX at 183. Really a pretty close battle. Really from 10th all the way on, arguably in about 22nd here. Scott Johnston and Spencer Taft sitting at 7. Buckley sitting at 153 points in 23rd. Jacob Pisterski sitting 4th with 152. Another one who we've seen some glimpses of brilliance from. Love to see him put together a race for the season before we get done with the season, and put the 992 up on the box. Got Travis Tatro right behind him in P25 with 134 points. Caleb Tenney in P6 with 129 points. Put up by Darren Robichaud, our other Bentley driver. Hesham Ripsk in 28th. Thomas Greer in 29th. Ian Demler in 30th. Followed by Mert Mertson, John Ansem, Kyle Miller. Matt Anderson here in the booth with me this evening. Aiden Burke, who did really well at Zolder. A couple of mishaps, but he can have another strong performance here this evening. Followed by Robert Lacey, Roger Rodriguez, Matt Mellinson, and Stephanie Fisher. Jason Pinkard rounding out P40, followed by Jake Battle, Vincent Nicollet, Steven Sarver, Bruce Hopkins, Brett Swift, and Vishal Sahara. And we'll take a quick look at team standings. Currently led by Champion Motorsports CEL of Sean Williams and Scott Johnston. 563 points, almost a full 100 over Better Calls of Stephen Foster we mentioned a minute ago. RaceX Esports of JP Johnston and Justin Griswold sending just a couple points behind Better Call Steve. And Team Lake Effect also right there in the fight, all ready to pounce in the event that Champion Motorsports doesn't put up a ton of points. They're followed a little bit further back by Baseline Racing Turbo Time with 406 of Giordano and Landon. 6th place OBDA Castle Cauldron Esports. Stephen Buckley and Raf Cab in the Lexus. 381 points. Turbo Time Racing of Garrity and Lacey. Crazy Rabbits Racing of Justin Moffat and Matt Mellinson. Red Cars Go Faster of Mert Mertson and Justin Rosenthal. Sitting at 345 points. Blind Babushkas of Hesham Rimsk and Stephen Dutton sitting in 10th. Red Eye Racing of John Ansem and Eric Rudderum. Ope Racing of Mattisey and Robichaud sitting in 12. Baseline Racing Secret Santas in P13. Plan E Racing Coke, Al Cumber, a solo driver here, sitting P14. Dark Horse Renegade of Henry Ramirez and Jake Battle sitting in P15. Madhouse Racing SYS of Anderson, who again sitting 7th overall in the Drivers' Champion. 246 points. Baseline Racing Holiday Inn Express average driver. Overboost of Aidenberg and Travis Tatro in the AMRV Aston V. Dive Bomb Bandits of Jacob Booster, Vincent Nicollet at 100. Ruslan Camp of Demler and Rodriguez HR OBDA bitch, please hold the brakes of Thomas Greer and Stephanie Fisher, sitting at 148 points in P. Baseline Racing, Last Minute Shoppers, 22 Black Sheep Motorsport P of Matt Anderson, Brett Swift. MHR Nayslayer of Jason Pink, sitting P20. Brewhop Brewing, 25, and X Dynamics, El Sahara, and P. A little confusing when I see your name pop up and you're in here in the booth with me. It throws me for a loop.
Yeah, I want to go. I know those guys.
Well, you know at least one of them, right?
I do. Well, I know my teammate too. I talked to him in a bit, but we were going to take a run at it. It just didn't end up being our season. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's part of racing. Unfortunately, things don't always come together. I want to say I've raced against you before a couple of times, but I could be misremembering. I know I've raced against Brett Swift a few times. He's always good fun. He's a very respectful driver out on track. I've raced against a handful of these guys.
Yeah, Brett's a super great guy. I wish we could have made a better run at it this season, maybe next season. And I think you said you've been around since season 7 of season 6 of SRA. I've been around since season 7, so entirely possible we have raced before.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the track map. And Matt, if you want to talk us through this one.
You betcha. Okay. Track is Mount Panorama in Bathurst, Australia. Length of 6.231 kilometers or 3.861 freedom units. So I've been told. 23 turns, starting at turn number 1, Hell Corner, going down the mountain straight to Quarry Bend, up the hill into the cutting, around to the right, Griffin's Mount, Reed Park, and then a fast left-hander, Solman Park, McPhillamy Park, which is you got to carry a lot of speed through that complex, but not dip into the grass. Then we come to Skyline. If you've never watched a race at Mount Panorama, once the race starts, you'll know why they call it that. Down into the S's and the Dipper, similarly, as we begin to descend. That's why they call it that. Into Forest's Elbow, and then the run down Conrad Straight. Which we will then get to the right and then left-hander called the Chase. That was put in, I believe, 1987. And then the last 90-degree left hand of Murray's Corner and back to the start-finish line.
Certainly a very punishing track if you make any kind of mistakes. You really do have to be millimeter perfect around here, which is tough enough in qualifying. Then when you look at the fact that we're trying to make this go over the course of a full 60-minute race on top of it, it is there's going to be some chaos. Fortunately, always would love for that to not be the case, but it's going to be the reality of Pano as it all. Just no real way around it. Because again, if you're not millimeter perfect, you're gonna touch a wall. And unfortunately, with how close D4 has been this season, that's probably not going to mean it's just you touching.
Yeah, no, Panorama, especially the top of the hill, is a matter of survival, right? Not getting too aggressive. Just be patient, wait for your opportunities. If it's me, I'm going to try to get them coming out of Forest Elbow and coming down the straight. And I think that's where we're going to see most of our moves happen, is either on the straight, going into the chase, or out of the chase.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of the nature of Pano. To go side by side through going up or down the mountain is risky is an understatement, is a gross understatement, really. There's almost no way that you go side by side and come out clean. So you really have to maximize your entry onto the straights and really maximize your entry into the corners. You can control the line going up into the mountain. You're probably going to be safe throughout. You just really want to try to open up a little bit of a gap coming down, that you don't have someone sitting right there in your draft as you're coming down the Conrad Street.
Yeah, if you're going to try to make a pass towards the top here, you better be very sure that you're going to make it. Otherwise, you're not just risking the other driver, you're risking yourself. And here we are, race 6 out of the 8 races for this season. This is not a great time to be taking those kind of risks if you're towards the top of the leaderboard.
Absolutely. This is more than any other race. This is one where you just need to survive. If you can bring in good points, do it. And if you can get a good qualifying, that is going to help tremendously. It'll help keep you out of some of the midfield shenanigans and chicanery. Gives you a little bit better chance of surviving. Obviously, you still have to worry about your own self-delete. But if you can help mitigate the chance of getting caught in someone else's incidents, your chances of finishing the race well go up tenfold. And if you can bring it home in good position, that is going to be huge, because there's a good chance that your competitors don't.
Yeah, this is a tough track to pass at, right? And it is so narrow in spots, and a simple loss of concentration or focus can put you into the wall, and honestly, that's your race, even if you did qualify good. But qualify, I mean, I know this sounds typical for pretty much every race, but this is one where a strong qualifying position and a good pit strategy is going to make the difference.
Absolutely. Now, I think if you have certain cars that are a little bit more biased towards excelling at the higher speed sections, cars like the Mustang or the Bentley or the Lexus, where you have a ton of power on tap, you have a ton of straight line speed, I think it makes life a little bit easier. Just from the perspective of, you're not really going to get challenged that hard on the straights, and because of how risky it is to overtake on the mountain, as long as you can get out in front and get where you need to for points, I think you make your life a lot easier, especially in those cars compared to some of the others like the 296 or the 992, which aren't as strong up at the top end.
No, totally agree. In the tighter areas towards the top, where more agile cars should have the advantage, there simply isn't going to be great places to pass. Where the good places to pass on this track are going to benefit the cars with a strong power. So the Mustang, the Aston Martin, the Bentley, right? They're as long as they can get a good exit, they're just going to pull away.
Absolutely, and we're watching the first cars come across with their banker laps. You got Daimler leading the pack with a 202 flat, which is a really solid time for D4. We were looking at the hot lap leaderboards for overall lap times here a little bit earlier before the event, and what we were seeing was the fastest guys were 2013. The top three were at 2013s. We were watching a practice session, and we saw a couple of guys go a little bit faster into the 2011s. But to go ahead and just your banker laps at 202 flat, I don't think Daimler's going to end up with a pretty strong quality, especially if you can improve upon that even a little bit. If you can get to like a 2017, 2018.
I can tell you this: on the hot lap leaderboard for this last week, Hesham Rumsk is at a 202 flat, right? And he is in 11th position for D4, and it goes down from there. So 202 is quite a good banker lap with plenty of room to improve. As you said, the top three hot lap times were all 2013s, put down by Rosenthal, Daimler, and Anderson, followed only 0.2 by Giordano, and then Mertzen 0.2 behind that with a 2017.
Yeah, now we did just see coming across, or going into Skyline, there's a little crest before you get there, and you're coming out of a fast left. We did just see Daimler clip the wall just a little bit, so hopefully he doesn't have any kind of steering damage. I'm imagining he's going to have some sort of aero damage. Certainly isn't going to do him any benefits, and if nothing else, it's probably going to rattle him with only 4 minutes left in his qualifying session. Gotta hope you can recover from that, because it is a little bit longer lap time there, right at around the 2-minute mark. So any little contact like that can really be detrimental, even just from the mental side, if you don't pick up any real damage.
McPhillamy Park turn coming into Skyline, going into the S's, you're trying to take it with as much speed as you can, but you really have to do your braking straight there, turn a little bit, and then maybe get a little braking if you can, if you need more. If you are trying to brake while you are then going up over the hump and a little bit off camber, the tires just lose traction. It is a dangerous spot to keep trying to brake through. You got to get your braking done early and straight to be able to navigate that properly.
And we are seeing some cars put in some faster times. Rosenthal has taken away provisional pole 2018 on his first non-banker lap, we'll call it. Jabri sitting in third with the 2022. Raf Cab sitting in fourth. The 2024 looking to put up a strong performance and maybe put himself in a position where he can kind of capitalize on that Lexus straight line speed and maybe jump Rosenthal. at least during the race, and take some points back.
Well, Rosenthal does have the #1 hot lap time right now.
Does.
With the 2:01.3, and I will say, looking at it, 3 of the top 5 hot lap times are all silver drivers. So we really should expect to see some good times out of this group. The only thing against them, I will say, is that as you can see right now on the overlay, the track is still only at fast and not at optimal, which of course happens a lot for the silver drivers.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the one thing that's going to hold him back, and why Rosenthal right now is a solid 5/10 back from his fast lap on the weekly practice hot lap boards.
Yeah, now I do have it on good authority. Obviously, as the silver cars are driving around, they're going to heat up the track a little bit. I do have it on good authority that we're likely to see that shift to optimal right around the time the gold drivers are wrapping up their outlap. So I have a feeling we'll see some gold dominance here.
Pretty much by design, right? That is kind of the way she goes.
Ooh.
Yep.
Robert Lacey had a real heater going. He was up about a full second on his time and then just stuffed it into the wall there at Forest Elbow. I can't imagine he doesn't have some sort of day. We'll take a look.
That's too bad. That's another one of my commentating buddies in D5. I want to see Robert do well.
Yeah. The Demler's reclaimed with a 2:01.7, so 0.05 of a second over Rosenthal. And we'll check in with John Ansom here, who is sitting right around a second up, so a 1 second improvement would be enough to bump him up to additional P6. He can make up a little more time here through the chase and then into T last. Could work out really well for him. It looks like he is up 1.2 now. Gonna need a little bit more. Currently 2.2 off of pole. Can improve by about 1.4 and get up to provisional P6. 0.8 off. If he can find a little more time, it'll serve him well. GTG and Mertz have already returned to pits, and we are coming down to last bit. So this will be everyone's last lap, I believe. One of Scott Johnston might have a shot at getting one more lap in, but it's going to be close. Gold cars are going to be allowed to release with 10 minutes remaining on the clock.
Yeah, it's going to be real close. I don't know.
I don't know if he's going to quite make the... But he is looking at a 1 second improvement, which should bump him up 1 or 2 spots. He's going to finish about a second up, so he'll jump up to P11. Just nudging out Roger.
And you can put down one. Yep, he just got over, so he can safely put down one more if he wants to, and looks like that's what he's going to do.
Look at Demler as he comes behind. He is not going to improve. To sit atop provisional pole 7. Rosenthal's already returned to pit, so he will hold the provisional P.
Rosenthal's only 0.06 of a second behind Demler, so
yep. Those are our only 3 drivers in the 201 so far too. Raf Cab, like he.
GTG is also in the 201s, just barely, by 5 1,000ths.
Yeah, those are those 3 are our only ones in.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure I was being fair, give him his due.
No,
it might
absolutely.
be 5 1,000ths, but he made it.
Hey, you know what? He's in a 201, and that is a solid time here at Pan.
Indeed.
Rathcab just missing the 201 cutoff is going to sit provisional P4 there in the Lexus. Gotta think if he can stay close to Rosenthal here for qualifying, which may be a little. Yeah, as we see on the outlap, track goes to optimum. Just got enough heat and grip into the track to give the gold boys a little bit of a helping hand.
Just like you called it, go buy a lottery ticket.
Well, I don't think that was luck. I think it was a little bit more insider knowledge.
Bill, then go buy a lottery ticket. You got the you got the numbers.
Home slice, trust me, if I had that inside knowledge, I would.
What? No, we would never do such a thing.
I would. Ain't
Yeah,
no
isn't
shame
that
in
what
that.
racing's all about, right? That's kind of, what real racing's all about, is having that inside knowledge, knowing what's going to
Absolutely.
work.
Hey, if you know how to bend the rules. And if you-
Well, yeah, bend or break until you get caught, I suppose, and then they change the rules. What was his name? Smokey, the NASCAR racer, who was notorious for like
Yep.
half of the NASCAR rule book because he broke.
Smokey
Yep.
Yannick with the basketballs in the fuel tank, and
Yep.
the
Yep.
what 2.25 inch roofline reduction or something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, it was for anybody listening to this. Go look up Smokey NASCAR, and you will have quite an interesting read in a person and a team who were very innovative.
And you know what? Innovative's a very good word.
Yeah, I said it nice, innovative.
I-
He did innovate. It's fair. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Okay. Looks like they're getting close to coming around for the first times for gold. Am I seeing that right?
Our is Anderson, car 12 in the Mustang. He is coming down the mountain right. That
Yep,
is
looks
Matt
that way.
Melvinson.
You ought to give us an onboard with him coming down the mountain at night. That's got to be quite a thing.
Have to. Well, let's take a look. A little bit of incident. Couple of
See that.
6 numbers coming on down the mountain right now. We'll keep an eye on the timing and scoring as Anderson jumps up to P6 with a 202 as his first flyer. Garrity hopping up to P5, knocking Anderson down to P7 with 202 flat, 202.067.
Not bad for a banker.
No, absolutely not. Top 10 for a banker lap is always good.
Mm-hmm. But with 5 minutes left to go and just over 2-minute laps, they've got 2, maybe 3 if they don't make any mistakes. More laps to be, to be able
Yeah,
to put
not
down
a ton
hot
of
one.
time remaining.
Nope.
Not a ton of time at all. With a race like this, you don't get a ton of laps to go and try to set your fastest, and with how much you have to be so millimeter perfect here, it makes qualifying a very stressful endeavor, especially because you really need to put in a strong qualifying result just to have a really good shot at the race.
Yeah. Although if I, were Anderson or any of those that, putting in a top 10 banker, that definitely takes the stress off so that to just let you go out there and fly. If you do screw up, well, you're still in a pretty good place. Just don't do it during the race. Get it out of your system. You do during the race, it's a whole different conversation.
We are looking at Anderson sitting at a 0.6 improvement, coming up on 0.7. See if he can hold that together. That would put him right near provisional pole, if not at it. Crosses over the 0.7 threshold.
5 thousandths of a second behind pole. Pretty close.
Absolutely. Dutton's going to snake it away from him, though. There's a very close spread between the top 3, all sitting at 201.7s of some flavor or variety. 707, 745, and a 750, just 5 thousandths off for Anderson, off of Demler.
I want to bet Anderson's got more in the tank there. And Rosenthal, I mean, he put down a good time, but fast track, optimum track. You know,
Yeah.
it does make a difference.
Melanson is currently 6/10 up, and he's coming out of forced elbow right now, coming down the Conrad straight. I'm looking for a good improvement, but he is going to need another 4/10 or so to have a crack at provisional pole.
Still, this should put him in the top 10.
Uh,
And that,
just inside, the 6/10 improvement looks like it would put him probably P9. Just bump out Mattisey in the Bentley.
that's a good place to be, in the top 10.
Top 10 is good. Top 6, I think, is really the sweet spot, just because it really starts getting you out of the danger zone a little bit further. Giordano's going to improve it and step up to, and Melanson is going to step up to P9. So it looks like he got that right at 6/10 improvement. Anderson,
Wilson.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say the same thing. Is that Anderson's sitting at almost 4/10 of a second up, coming down the Conrad straight. Right
It's
now,
fast.
he's going through the chase. Oh, up to 5/10 now.
6/10.
Wow, 6/10.
He's
What a
gonna drop it
lap.
back down to 5. I think he takes it just a touch wide through.
Still, nonetheless,
corner.
taking provisional pole by almost 4/10 of a second. That was a heck of a lap.
Absolutely. We're looking at Giordano. Still early in his lap, coming up to climb the mountain, but 4/10 up right now. Kyle Cumber's a little further along, coming down the Conrad straight into the chase. Currently 3.5 up, so he'll be looking just not quite nudging the top 10 at the moment. Looks like his lap time gain is going to fade away as he gets through the pace a little bit slowly.
Yeah, it looked like he took a little bit too much curb.
Moffat is on an invalid lap, currently P16, and so I don't think he is going to get across the line fast enough to start a new lap. Can't
No.
imagine he does anyway.
No, not at where he's at on the track. Yeah.
Caleb Tinney's looking at a good improvement, about 1.5 seconds, but it's not going to be enough to beat him. Will remain in P23. He does have one more lap to try and improve if he would like to, or just gain a little bit more track time and set himself up a little better for the race.
Melanson just went up from 9th to 5th.
Giordano
He had
just
a-
jumped up to 8th as well. That's going to be a solid start for Melanson. Garrity sitting 6th. Rosenthal and Demler still hanging on P3-4, so second row for the start. As long as they can hold on to that, that is going to do both of them some huge favors. Raf Cab still sitting inside the top 10, who is our second place point sitter. So, I'm biased. I fully admit it. Raf Cab is one of my OBDA boys. I would love to see him do well. So he gets bumped down to P10. Melanson looking like he's improving just a little bit, but it's still a little early in his lap to really say anything. This will be the last lap for everyone out on track right now. Ramirez and Rudderham both looking like they're going to have some improvements here. They're going to come across the line right in front of each other. Ramirez looking about 0.5 seconds, and Rudderham in P21 already looking at almost a full second of improvement this together, which he will, and that is going to bump him up to P19, so a few positions gained right there.
You know, he just went up 4 or 5 spots with a 1 second gain.
Yeah.
Man, does that just show you how tight this field is.
Absolutely. Anderson's a couple tenths ahead of anyone else, but from there, it's a pretty close spread back through the remainder of the top 10, about 4 tenths gap between second and 10th.
You know, and I was happening to notice that out of our top 10 drivers, we have 6 gold drivers and 4 silvers. So that's a pretty good spread too. The silvers represented quite well.
Absolutely, they did, and especially considering that the silvers only got to qualify on a fast track, they didn't have as good of a grip level as the gold drivers did.
Gold. That's right.
So we are going to have, for qualifying, Anderson's going to be sitting on pole, followed by Moffat. So a pair of Mustangs on the front row, a pair of McLarens of Dutton and Demler sitting in on the second row. Dutton just edging out Demler and Rosenthal for P3 in quali. Rosenthal P5, Melanson P6, Garrity P7, Johnbury GTG P8, Giordano P9 in the NSX, and Raf Cab, my boy, rounding out the top 10 in the Lexus. While we wait for everyone to head to grid, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
All right, and we are just having the cars take away for the formation lap. So definitely looks like there's a specific trend here with the Mustangs maybe being a little bit stronger than some of the other cars. But on the flip side of that, Anderson, Moffat, and Melanson have been strong all season, so not really a surprise there. The one that I am a little surprised about is Sean Williams, all the way down in P17. That's our points leader. This is, he has certainly just not decided to make his life easy this race.
Yeah, you know, it could have just been a rough week for him. Maybe he didn't get as much practice time. Who knows? Or maybe he just, you know, didn't have a great qualifying session. I could confidently say I've been in both of those situations before. So any way you cut it, he's got a fight ahead of him coming out of 17th. But, you know, maybe he's got some pit strategy ideas up his sleeve and can manage to wiggle his way up with a faster pace, get through the crowd.
Yeah, could be. Certainly there's, I hate to be pessimistic, but there's almost no way that the totally clean race for every single person. So I think he can pretty safely count on the mishaps and misfortune of those around him. And as long as you can stay clean here, you're gonna have some success and do at least reasonably well. I mean, I think if you have realistically if you have a totally clean race here, I think you're nearly guaranteed a top 10.
Well, I think you hit it there. Being in 17th, he's definitely in the danger zone, right?
Yeah.
Anybody in front of him happens to get squirrely, it can turn into a parking lot and on Mount Panorama in the tight sections, and that, you know, the best you can do is hope that you're not in that parking lot.
Yeah, no, and that's the unfortunate reality of it. But You know, you never know what's going to happen. And that's why we go racing. You know?
Yep. Yep. You know, I mean, all the drivers want to be clean, of course, but mistakes happen, and you got to adapt fast and try to make your way through it, and or change your race strategy.
Yeah, everyone wants to be clean, but unfortunately, everyone also wants to win a little bit more sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
So it's that balancing act. That balancing act is where you find the success.
That's true. Yep. Consistency is key.
Absolutely. Now, I do think that Anderson and Moffat are probably going to open themselves up to some good battling. It's just the strengths of the Mustang in general. It's really good in straight lines. And with, you know, like we were talking about earlier, with how difficult it is to pass going over and down the mountain, they have both made their lives really, really easy. That's here tonight. And Melanson, too, sitting back there, P6, row 3. You know, he's certainly not out of the contention. Although I think, you know, realistically, Anderson just has so much pace.
You know, I gotta say, having been a McLaren driver for 3 seasons previously, I'm kind of surprised to see that they're, you know, well represented there at the top. I expected the cars with more power to be able to just pull away, and that would pretty much take care of most of it here at Panorama. But good for them to be able to be up there. Let's see what they can do with it.
Absolutely. The McLaren does seem to just be generally strong here, though. Not like in an OP way or anything like that, but it's a relatively stable car. It tends to do pretty well at this track for whatever reason. I think you can actually get away with running a pretty low wing on it, so you kind of mitigate some of the losses on the straights, but there's not much that really keeps up with the Mustang in a straight line. And Anderson is going to lead us across the start as we go green. Moffat's going to be right there with them. McLarens are going to come in side by side with each other. They're going to keep... Take a look a little bit further back. Everything looks to be nice and tidy.
Pretty clean.
Love to see it. 90-degree corner sometimes gets a little bit hairy, especially with all the anxiety the rest of the track. So to see everyone get through there is huge. Fantastic to see. This is another spot.
Do we think they can make... You think they can make it a whole map, a whole lap?
This is where it gets dicey, is through the cutting, because everyone tends to close in just a little bit different rate. Everyone's keeping it clean so far. Oh, that is a tight group right there.
Yeah, it's going to take them at least several laps to be able to spread out a bit. So these first handful of laps are the most dangerous. This is when it happens.
Yep, we're already seeing Anderson's breaking away a little bit. Daimler and Dutton are stuck together. I'm sorry, Daimler and Moffat are stuck together.
Through Forest Elbow and down the Conrad straight for the first time.
Looks like we did have one sort of issue with Steve and Music of Better Call Steve. They're sitting P3 in our P2 in our team championship, aren't they? Do I have that wrong?
Let's see here. Team, yeah. Better Call Steve is in second place right now for the team championship. 466 Stephen Music and 161 Steve Foster.
Well, looks like that is Eric Rudderham spun himself around, or got spun around, one or the other. Going, I guess, coming out of the chase. John Williams looks like he had made up a spot, but he's getting shuffled back again by Steve Foster. Like he is going to take that position back. Not get a great drive out of turn 1 though. That is going to let Johnston close right up on him as he gets a little bit of a bump draft, it looks like, which is going to help him out.
Well, if I'm looking at the, looks like we started with 28 racers, and coming, what are we on the second lap right now? And we appear to car number 466 is already in the pits.
Yeah,
seeing that?
Music was one who had a little bit of trouble coming down the mountain on lap 1.
Looks like Ansem
had some trouble as well. Ansem is Rudderham's teammate in the R8, so both of the Audi boys having some trouble early in the race here.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. After one lap already, Music and Ansem having a tough time, but Robichaux, Buterski are up 5 places. Ramirez is up 4 places, but other than that, it's 1 or 2 places at best. Everybody's pretty much still in line from start. Now, mind you, they're just coming down the Conrad Straight for the second time here. We've got a lot of racing left to go, but I don't know. I guess I expected.
When we've got Dutton coming alongside Moffat and getting around him on the straight, not where I was expecting the McLaren to make a pass on the Mustang.
No, not at all. Other way
Looks
around.
like Rosenthal's having a. Rosenthal looks like he's going to make it happen here too.
You know about that?
Ooh, Moffat is going ahead and heading into the pits. I don't know if he picked up some damage or maybe he's just trying to go ahead, take his pit stop early. He's going to try to nurse those tires through the entirety of the race. Go for the super mega undercut.
I don't know what happened, but Giordano is in the pits.
Saw that.
And Moffat's coming in right now with damage.
Moffat does have damage.
Yeah, a lot of it on the front.
Ooh. That's a little surprising because he was... It's not like he and Dutton were all super far back, so I don't know where he picked up that damage, because I would think if he picked up a lot on the front end, probably would have set him back a bit.
If I had to guess, him and Giordano got into it together because they're both in the pits right now. Just a guess, because I didn't see it happen.
I would find it a little hard to believe because Giordano, I think he started like 10th-ish, 9th, right in there. So he was behind Moffat. Oh, his RAF cab spins it.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh!
And this is what we were talking about, where if you have an oopsie, you're usually not going to take out just yourself. That's the danger of Pano. He's going to teleport back to pits, which is a smart move in that situation because it's just so risky because you got everyone coming around behind you.
Yeah, even holding onto the brakes, as is, required by the SRA rules when you get into a situation, it's just so tight. There's nowhere to go. You're just gonna, bounce around like a pinball.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way around it.
No.
Who's the... Okay, that's Garrity. Right on the back of Mellinson there. I think he's backed off a little bit. GTG's going to close up on him. Williams has clawed his way up to 12th already, showing the merit of just keeping it clean.
Yeah, so, I was talking about not much movement by that second lap, and here we are on the third, coming on to the fourth, and we've already got Buterski up by 9, Buckley up by 7, Robichaux up by 8 positions.
Yep.
More towards the front, Williams is up by 7. Right behind him, Rimsk is up by 5. The top 10 is still pretty stable, though. Anderson in first, Demler, Dutton, Rosenthal, Melanson, and then down.
GTG's gonna get around Garrity right there, going through turn 2 there. Garrity going wide here, almost like he's trying to overdrive the car, carry a little too much speed, or maybe the fronts are... Maybe he's picked up a little bit of damage, although the front of that car looks clean.
Yeah, I don't see any damage.
And GTG's already gapped him enough that it's hard to see anything on that car. Gary slipping back isn't going to be good for him in the point standings. Anderson kind of running away with this. Already opened up a 2-second gap over Demler. Demler's 4 seconds over Dutton here, so Demler really putting in an absolute rock star performance here, holding down second as a silver driver. close battle here between Rimps, Johnston, and Ramirez. All within just each other.
And you know, we were talking about Williams needing to make moves early. He's up 7 positions in the 10th.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He does have a little bit of a gap, almost 2 seconds, or I guess a second and a half, up to Mertson.
Mm-hmm.
So he still has some work to do for sure, especially to kind of mitigate any sort of damage and mitigate some of the risk. But he's putting himself in a good position early, which I love to see. Admittedly, I was pretty worried about him when we were going into this race, and he was starting 17th. But he's doing what he needs to do. He's putting in the work for sure.
Certainly, but he's got a long way to go to be able to catch up with Anderson in first place. Who has a 2.7 second gap on Demler behind, and Anderson is also currently holding the fastest lap at a 2:03.2.
Yep, and we just saw Robichaud get around Buckley with a really beautiful move going through the inside of turn 1 there. Buckley tried to keep Robichaud to the inside on a really nice tight line, and Robichaud just cut through it. Said, hey, there's a gap. We're going to make this work. And has powered away here in the Bentley a little bit.
Well, I feel for Buckley because that happened to me plenty with Robichaud last season. We were pretty close, and he was able to secure the D4 Silver Championship last season. I missed out by 4 points. He definitely knows what he's doing. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yes, he does. But even if you've done good deed, you cannot beat his Bentley speed.
No. Oh, geez. And I was in the Aston Martin, and he was still pulling away from me. So, yeah, he definitely,
Funny.
He knows what he's doing.
Funny enough, back in season 10, I won Division 4 Silver in the Bentley.
Right?
It's something about the right-hand side of that car.
Really? Yeah, I guess.
Because
all I know is that
joke there just being that the Bentley is the only car, only GT3 where you're on the right-hand side of the car in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I was a little slow on the uptake there. I got you now.
All good. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah. Took me a second, but I got you.
Rosenthal actually pulling down the fastest lap of the race, the 2:02.7, 4/10 up on even Anderson, who's sitting in the lead right now. Rosenthal right on the back of Dutton here. I don't know that the Ferrari's going to have enough in a straight line to really have a really genuine look.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But if he can keep putting down those stellar lap times and just fill up Dutton's rear view mirror, that's easy to force a mistake. Right. Force the trouble.
Yeah, because Anderson's fast lap before was a 2:02 or a 2:03.2, so Rosenthal putting down a 2:02.8 basically at 4/10 faster. That's quite a jump.
Yes, it is. And the tricky part for Rosenthal is if he can force Dutton into a mistake, he's got to worry about does he get caught up in it.
Yep. Towards the top of the mountain there, that's about all you can do. Just stay in their mirror and hope they make a mistake. Hope they keep looking at you and not at the apexes and exits.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that, because there's no way you're going to make this too wide safely.
No, you pretty much just got to forget about that car behind you. Realize that passing is too hard. Just hit your points, and then really try to get this exit good coming into the straight, the Conrad straight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like we said earlier, surviving is going to be the biggest thing here. We're 13 minutes into the race, and we've already seen several mistakes as we watch Melanson go wide through through the entry of the chase and give up a couple of spots to GTG and Garrity. Now we've got a Ferrari train here running 4th, 5th, 6th. And 2 of them are silver drivers up in the top 5. Actually, three silver drivers in the top 5. With
I would say
Demler sitting in 2nd.
I would say, thankfully, at this point, we're 15 minutes in, almost.
Yeah.
And we've only lost 1 driver at this point, so that's doing pretty good. Almost a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, now with that said, Rafcab and Alexander Giordano are both sitting pretty far back. Raf, minute 40-ish, it looks like, off of the next car in front of him. And,
but they're hanging in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even just finishing, if Raf can climb back up, let's say, he can get back up to the top 20, for example. That's still some points on the board. Granted, it's not going to do anything with Rosenthal in P4. It's not going to help him out too much in the championship, but it'll at least be a few points and help mitigate and keeping him alive going into round 7 at Olton and then our season finale at Valencia. And that's really kind of the name of the game. It's just surviving and keeping your championship alive if you're in one. Which,
yeah, you gotta still be thinking about the long game.
Yeah.
Race 6 out of 8, even though there's not much long game left. But
you say there's not a lot of long game left, but when we went through the points, there were a lot of sub 10-point deltas there. We had several points dies, so certainly.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I mean, is that for the front of the pack in the championship standings, every single one of those points count. Even if you're having a rough race, you just got to gut it out and get what you can get, because you never know what's going to happen to the other guy next race.
Melanson just blew through the entry of the chase again. I'm wondering if he's having some sort of, looks like he's got some front end damage there. I see some scuffing up on the front of the car and the right side of it. I wonder if he's got some splitter damage that's, or even hopefully not some wheel damage. That's going to let Mattisy close right up onto the back of him. I mean, I guess if you're going to have
Bentley power again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to have a Bentley in your rearview mirror, you're going to be a little less scared of it if you're in a Mustang, but then, like a Ferrari or a McLaren, for example. But it still isn't going to be a great feeling, especially if you've got front end damage there.
Yeah, let's see how he's able to take some of the tighter turns here.
I didn't mention it, but we actually watched Jubber GTG get a little bit loose coming out of the left-hand start of the chase and have to yield the position to Garrity. So Garrity's back up to P5. Rosenthal still in P4. Dutton in P3. Demler in P2. And Anderson extending out to a 3-second lead. Running from pole to still leading the race, and he has claimed the fastest lap with a 2:02.727, so just beating out Rosenthal by 5.5 hundredths.
Mm-hmm. Here just a moment ago, too, Ramirez was able to overtake Johnson, so there's still some movement that we have going on, making for a good race. If you look at the track map there, you can see that we are pretty well spread out across, with just over 1/4 of the race down, which I would say is probably to be expected.
Yeah, it's really tough to stay right on someone over the mountain, just because you have to have such a high level of trust, not just in the person's driving ability, but just in them not making a little mistake that hurts your race as well. And watch Mattisy here come right up alongside Melanson, and he's going to take it one way around, but he's going to have a little bit of contact. He's going to right him, though.
Yeah.
They're going to stay side by side, but that is going to let Mertzen close on up a bit.
That could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I think Mattisy tried to cut over a little bit more than he should have. Mertzen's really going to close up on the two of them.
Yeah. You got to imagine he's none too happy right now.
No, but granted,
gotta calm those nerves, and that is easier said than done.
Absolutely. I think Melance's probably going to be the one who's a little bit more upset about that one. It looked like Mattisy, and granted, this is just from one angle that we saw. Looked like Mattisy might have squeezed him off a little bit. Melanson's already got that front end damage that looked like we saw. So I think he's probably going to be the one who's a little bit angry about this, but he's retained the position for now. We'll have to see what stewards say. Obviously, they'll take a much closer look than we're able to in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, there's no judgment passed here. I think both of their blood pressures are probably up at this moment.
Yeah,
that's racing for you.
Yeah, I think every single person's is, just from the stress of being here at Pano.
Well, I mean, look at this, running through the S's, into the dipper. This is classic stuff right here. Right down on the elbow, and down we run.
I will say from experience, being on the right side of the car coming through the elbow there makes it a lot easier to place and get close to the wall and use the whole width of the track.
Where you got a little bit better sight line.
Absolutely.
Look at that, taking it fast. Is he going to be able to close that gap and take another try at Murray's corner? I think he's too far away at this point.
Yeah, he's not going to quite have the run to try and make a move there, but he is going to stay in contact. And really, I think that's all you can try to do right now. We're still, we're not even quite 20 minutes into the 60-minute race. There's still plenty of time left. There's no real need to try and force a move, especially, they're 6.5 seconds off Joby GTG and P6. It would be, not saying they couldn't do it. Joby's a quick dude. It would be a bit of an ask to try and make that happen. And, the risk of anything happening between the two of you right now, it makes a lot more sense just to kind of sit back, let the race come to you, and again, just, like we've said over and over again, just kind of survive. Looks like Steven Music might have had a little bit more trouble and had to go back to the pits for a little bit. We're going to keep it on this tight battle here between Rosenthal and Dutton for P3. They've got a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. I think that might be Stefan Buckley. Yep, that's Stefan. These two are staying close to each other, but it looks like the Ferrari just can't quite keep up on the straights. Claren. Looks like we're actually going to have a fast lap come in by Moffat, who's sitting down in P20 right now.
Look at that.
He has already taken his pit stop, so he's on a little bit lighter fuel load with fresh tires. Of course, here in SRA, for anyone who's tuning in for the first time or just isn't super familiar with the rules of the series, we do have one mandatory pit stop in our 60-minute races. Tire change is required. Refueling is not allowed. And we're actually going to see fast lap transition over to Garrity with a 2:02.3. We're starting to see these lap times come down a bit as sun starts to heat up a little bit of the track here. Temperatures start to rise a little bit. A little bit more grip becomes available, even though the track, unless I missed something, has been optimum for a little while now.
Well, I was going to say that the track has been optimum for a while, but the track temperature has actually been the same since the start, at 19 Celsius air and track. But I think at this point, it's just starting to rubber in,
Yeah.
The drivers are also getting into their rhythms, and as spread out as everybody is, there are only so many cars that are actually fighting other cars. So they're able to just start putting in some fast laps.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't really been taking particular mental note of it. Has there been anywhere where you've seen the sun has started baking the track a little bit?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's 6:30 a.m. race time, right?
Yeah.
So sun's still real low on the horizon. I doubt we'll even see that be an issue today.
Yeah, totally fair.
Which is a good thing, because any other given day, Panorama can get hot.
Yes, it can, and then that bakes the tires a little bit too. And certainly once if we do see the sun start coming out onto the track surface, that's going to heat it up in some spots, and that's going to start throwing some folks' tire pressures into disarray.
Mm-hmm. Some of the cars were sliding early. I was wondering about that. Were there, even after 3-4 laps, were their tire temps just not quite up yet? Did they plan on the temperatures coming up more, maybe overestimate that? Hard to say, but everybody seems to be running pretty fast by this point.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of relatively similar lap times. We're seeing a couple of these guys here in the 2:02s. Garrity's going to take it back with a 2:02.3 for the fastest lap of the race. He's sitting right back there. He is caught right up to the back of Rosenthal and Dutton here. And I think he is going to be looking to make some more forward progress. Williams.
Yeah, we got a nice little pack here.
Yeah, we do.
Compared to how everybody is kind of spread out. So good to watch.
Absolutely. Williams is stalled out a little bit. He is sitting about 4 seconds off of Mertzen in P9, though Williams is sitting in P10 right now. Made some moves early, but it looks like he's just kind of settled into a groove here, which, let's be real, that's not a bad thing here at Pano.
No.
You know, if you can just go and click off your laps and stay out of the drama. Rosenthal just got into the wall right there, and that's going to open up Garrity to have a look. He's not going to quite take it just because of how risky it is to try anything.
Well, as you can see there from the side of the track, we've got some blue flag traffic that they're trying to get around, and this is really not the place to try to do that. Wait just right here, wait for the straight. That's where it is the safest, not only for the blue flag traffic, but for the cars overtaking them to make that pass. Do it on a straight.
Now we are seeing Mertzen is not yet quite yielding the position. This being kind of the best spot to just yield that over. A little bit of a no-no. Granted, he has a full lap. I didn't like that. That seems a little bit team tactics.
Well, I mean, that does come into play.
It does.
Also for anyone who maybe is unaware on the blue flag rules, once you have been in car notified that you are slower traffic and you are blue flag, you have an entire lap to before you have to yield way to that car behind. It is common practice to be able to simply let them by where it is safe and prudent, so as to slow you down the least amount possible and let that car through cleanly. However, it is not outside of the rules to be able to hold on to your spot unless you are not excessively slowing that car down behind you. You will get penalized for that.
Yeah. Now, the one caveat is if you're getting the blue flag, you can't try to defend the position.
That's correct.
If you get a nose stuck in on you, you got to yield that.
Yep.
And so it's one of those things that's within the rules. It feels a little cheap to me. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Well, these.
Now, if you want to,
they're all fighting for points, and hey, so sometimes I gotta say, taking that penalty point for your teammate is part of the tactics.
It is. Although I wouldn't encourage taking a penalty point, but if you slow down.
I'm not saying I'm encouraging it. I'm just saying don't hit the player, hit the game.
Absolutely not encouraging it. But again, one of those things. I get it. It's fine. It's legal. It's within the rules. I just don't like it, especially coming out of the chase. It's a risky place to do it. Then that's where you look.
Yeah. Yeah, by this point in the season, these drivers all pretty much know each other. They can then anticipate what that other driver is going to do.
We're going to see.
And they're also quite well versed in how to if you're blue flagged, how to let a car around.
Yeah, we're going to see Dutton actually dive off into the pit. So,
whoa!
That is
What
Mertzen
happened
just
there?
blowing through. I don't know if he missed his braking marker or if pedals disconnected or something like that, but he flew through that and slammed into the wall. It was a nasty, nasty hit. So we're actually going to watch Dutton go ahead and dive into the pits, take his mandatory pit stop, leaving Rosenthal with some nice, clean, free air in front of him. Out here thinking, it's free real estate. And I think that's going to make it's going to make one of our YouTube commenters really happy. Who was asking us to tell Dutton to get out of the way so Rosenthal can set another fastest lap. Rosenthal's got some clean air in front of him, and that is actually... unless I missed Garrity just getting tripped up by his teammate blasting through turn 1. That is going to let Rosenthal start to check out a little bit as he pulls an almost 2-second gap right away. Have to see what the lap times look like when they come across the line here in about 45 seconds. Got some good racing going on here. It looks like Williams... Okay, oh my goodness, Williams pit in the first half of the race. We missed this. What the heck kind of development is this? This man's been running to 15 minutes remaining consistently. He's going to get loose there, though. I wonder if he's just come out and he's on his outlap. Looks like he's done flyer already. He's down in 15th now, but he is second of... No, he's third of the cars that have pit. He's going to have to find his way around Melanson, who's got that damage fixed now. Should have that damage fixed, unless he's picked up new damage. Then he might be in trouble.
Especially since he just pit.
Yep, Dutton has come out into P12. About 10, 11, 12 seconds ahead of these two. So he will have a comfortable lead over these guys through the end of the race. I'll have to see exactly where these two filter into traffic as the rest of the leaders start taking their pit stops. But again, just really surprising to see Williams taking such an early pit. I wonder if he maybe finally caught up into some traffic or just said, hey, these tires are not feeling great, so let's get some new ones that feel better now that we're on a lighter fuel load. They'll last a little bit better. We are starting to see the sky light up a little bit more and the track get a little bit lighter. Temperature staying the same, but I'm wondering even if it's just indirect, kind of like ambient light, if that might heat up the surface a little bit as far as the grip mechanics.
Not sure.
Garrity's still sitting on the fastest lap of the race right now with a 2:02.3. Rosenthal with a 2:02.7, so a little bit off at the maximal pace there. We're watching Williams just continue to sit right in the rearview mirror of Melanson. He's sitting right in the draft here. He might be able to have a cheeky look. Got to think I don't know that he's going to have enough. Melanson looks like he might go over towards the center, try to keep behind anything. Yeah, he's not going to have quite enough of a run. But staying there, sitting there, filling up his mirror.
You know what best he can do is just stay close through the top section there, which you can see he's dropping back now already. Must have had a bad corner. But just try to stay close and wait for the downhill run.
Yeah. Yeah, he pushed a little wide going into the cutting there. He just glances the wall, too. Gotta wonder if he's getting a little hot under the helmet right now. Check in with Johnston and Busterski. They've got a close battle here going, about half a second between them. Keep an eye on the timing and scoring between Williams and Melanson. They hover right around the 1 second mark right now. Ooh, Johnston just getting over into the grass, getting a little bit loose and a little bit of a wiggle, and that is going to let Busterski get alongside.
A little bit of bump in there.
Busterski going to hold over to the right-hand side of the track and then swing over to the left to try and defend. Hold him off for now. Very nice move. Looks like Rosenthal and Garrity are both going to go into the pits together and come out of the pits together. And Rosenthal's going to just barely have the jump over Garrity. I think Garrity might have had a little bit better pit stop there. So those two should be resuming their battle. Well, effective immediately.
Well, they're both on cold tires right now, right? So
yeah, they're not going to want to push too hard.
No. At their own peril.
The way the Merc takes that corner always makes me a little bit nervous because it just seems to want to push out so wide.
I like the Merc. It doesn't like me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've got a similar issue with it. I want to like it. It's good, and there's some tracks where I don't mind it. It's just not a car that I really vibe with personally. I like the 992 a lot, and I wish that we had more folks driving it here this season.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it. Nothing against it, because I do love the Merc, but I feel like there are better cars besides it. My experience in driving it and actually trying to work with some drivers seasons ago that are really good in it. It's a car that if you can either really make it fast. There are certain people who can, and then there's the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to make fast, but it can be made very fast. So I tried. I did not have the skill to make it fast, I'll tell you that.
Well, hey, neither did I. There's a couple of tracks where I've done okay with it. They are certainly the exception and not the rule.
Love the sound of it, though. Love the sound.
You know, I love the sound of it in person. I'm not the biggest fan of how it sounds in ACC. Especially when you drive by a wall and you hear it clapping back at you. It's it has a really specific sound that I don't think I'm supposed to say on air.
Yeah, probably not. This is a family-friendly entertainment here. But all I was going to say is, ACC does pretty good. But let's be fair. These cars roaring in person, there's nothing that compares to that.
No, certainly not.
Yeah.
I will say I think the biggest offender is actually the BMW. And even in person, people have said it doesn't sound that great, but I've heard them a few times, and I think they sound good. Certainly, I think they sound a lot better than they do here in the game.
I definitely got a soft spot for the BMW. Won my only championship in the BMW here in SRA, so definitely got a lot of love for it.
Yeah, no, the BMW's I don't know that I would say it's fun because it doesn't have the drama of the 992 or like the NSX, for example, especially the 992.
No, it is quite boring, but that it can also very much be one of its benefits.
Yeah,
it's not particularly exciting, no, but it is predictable, and within that you can make it pretty fast.
Yeah, no,
Eats those curbs,
Absolutely, it's a fantastic car. It's just not something that gets me excited about driving it.
No, it really.
But if if I have to go and race a full season, it's a solid option. If I'm going to race an enduro and I just need something I know it's going to do every single time, every single lap, it's a really good option,
It certainly is.
Now, of course, I'm partial What's up?
I was just going to say, it looks like the sun's starting to come up over there.
Yeah.
You can see it pretty clearly as the cars around Murray's Corner coming down into the pit straight.
Yep, and we're actually going to check in with Sean Williams here. Half a second off of Melanson Stills, who's sitting right there behind him. They climbed up to P10-11 as the pit stops have cycled through. And Williams has actually locked down fastest lap of the race with a 2:02.1. So getting really close to the 2:01s. I'm wondering if we might see those as the sun starts to come up. He'd warm up the track temps just a little bit, at least in certain areas. Because that will help promote a little bit more grip. And
we still got 22 minutes left.
Yep, and we'll still see some fuel burn, so these cars will get a little bit lighter. Yeah, see, coming down the mountain right here, we're starting to get a little bit of light on the surface. That's going to help us have a little bit more grip coming down that first part, which, in my experience, is kind of the most treacherous part of coming down the mountain. As long as you get through Skyline, which can be a little iffy on some cars. Looking at the Honda NSXs. Oh no!
Speaking of Williams.
Oh man, that is heartbreaking.
Yes, it is.
Ooh,
that was a dangerous rejoin.
That was a risky rejoin. He's in a bad spot to be stopped though too. So
Yeah,
Lesser of two evils, maybe.
that is unfortunate to see. He was on a run.
Yeah, he absolutely was. That's going to hurt him pretty tremendously. He's already dropped back to 14th. He's got what looks to be a pretty significant amount of front aero damage. Yeah, I'm hoping the car still feels at least halfway okay. Nursing it for 20 minutes, though, might be a big ask.
Yeah, there are a lot of these cars that once you lose that front arrow, you're in big trouble. And trust me, trust me from personal experience, the McLaren is one of them. It's no wonder that he's coming into the pits.
Yeah, just about to say we're seeing him go ahead and dive back into the pits. That is going to be pretty severely detrimental to his race. I can't imagine that he's not going to cycle into probably. Can't imagine he stays in the top 20. I know my
yeah, if he does, it'll be just.
Yeah, just barely. I remember season 6, my first season here in SRA. We actually were here at Mount Pano, and it was our second to last round, so it was round 7. We had just a little incident where I was racing with one of our other drivers here, Gordon Beverly, BB3, and we had a blue flag just lose the rear end coming out of the chase right in front of us, and I went right, and so did he, and I clipped the wall as like 25 seconds of suspension damage. I drove around for 2 laps racing him, stayed in front of him with the wheel, cockeyed 45 degrees to the left. It was an experience, but it certainly felt a lot better once I took my pit stop and got that damage fixed.
Exactly. To that, watching Williams, he ended up having, he was stopped for 40 seconds. And since he'd already pit, that's got to be all damage. So with a total pit time of 1:07, coming out at 19th. So just like we thought, just inside of the top 20.
Yeah. It could be 40 seconds of damage. He also could have just taken another set of tires. Because he pit a little bit earlier, remember? So he already had at least 10 minutes on that set. He may have just said, screw it, I'm pitting anyways. We're just going to go ahead, get new tires, and not have to worry about tires that have had a spin. Heated up.
If he knew he had, yeah, if on his MFD he knew he had 40 seconds worth of damage, you might as well take on tires.
Yeah. Or he could have just flat out forgotten to turn off tires, or it could, again, like you said, it could have been 40 seconds of all damage.
Yeah. No, you're right. If he had 40 seconds of damage, that's what I would have done. I would have said, you know what, just put on another set of tires, because it's not costing you extra time at that point.
Looks like we've got 2 drivers here, the 201s now. Both of them Ferraris, which I will say I wasn't necessarily expecting, but Rosenthal currently with the fast lap of the race at a 201.7. Garrity right behind him, sitting about a second off, but sitting with a 201.8. Almost right at an exact 10th off for fastest lap. So Rosenthal really putting in some solid times here. He's starting to catch up to Ramirez. Demler and Anderson are in the pits. I can't imagine he's going to jump them, but you never know.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out, that Anderson, Demler, and Ramirez all have not pit yet. Of course, Anderson and Demler are in the pits right now, but Ramirez is up 19 positions from where he qualified, and he is the last person to pit. So he, could stand to fare quite well from that. Possibly still stay in the top 10?
I don't know that he'll stay in the top 10 because there's not a huge gap between anyone in the top 10. It's a second here, 4 there, 7 there. So I don't know that he'll stay in the top 10. I wouldn't be totally surprised if he stayed in the top 15. But I mean, certainly I've been wrong before, and I will undoubtedly be wrong again. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens very soon. Like during this race.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Well, looks like
they hired.
Am I seeing this right? Anderson and Demler were both able to pit in such a way that they went in first and second and came out in first and second.
Yeah, but Demler has lost a bit of time to Rosenthal because Rosenthal was a couple seconds off of them before everyone started pitting, and he is all over him right now.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, go in for a second, come out for a second. That's pretty good. Ramirez, on the other hand, just came out from his pit. He was in 3rd. He's now in 10th. So he did hang on to at least in the top 10.
Oh, there you go. No, they hired me for my looks, not my beauty.
Face for radio?
Yeah, exactly.
Both of us? Sure, that's why we're here.
Oh no, as we see Rosenthal.
Oh.
He loses it coming over Skyline, gets into the wall. Garrity gives him a little tap as he comes through. He's got nowhere to go. It looks like Rosenthal might have some pretty severe damage. Stops for a second, considers returning to garage. Like he is going to rejoin and continue driving on. I think if you can
just trying to re-enter safely. Yeah. Yeah, there appears to be a significant amount of damage to the front of Rosenthal's car.
Not in a good position, which is admittedly it's good for Raf Cav, who has dropped all the way down to P23. We'll have to see if Garrity, or I'm sorry, not Garrity, Rosenthal decides to take an additional pit stop and get that damage fixed. Based on how hard he got hit, or how hard he hit the wall, I would think he would probably come in for another pit stop. He's already got the points lead for silver by a few, although he's going to stay out for at least this lap, so maybe he's just trying to test the waters and see exactly how much it's going to cost him, especially, you know, only 15 minutes left in the race, so certainly if you can make this work, it's to your advantage to just go ahead and stay out, you know, if you're only going to lose a couple tenths. But
yeah, it could just look a lot worse than it is, you know, and I'm sure he's looking at his multifunction display, his MFD, and going, okay, how many seconds of damage is going to cost me, plus pit entry, pit exit. I've got 15 minutes left race time. You got to imagine that he's doing a lot of math in his head right now.
yeah, and you know, we're looking at roughly 2-minute lap time, 2:02s realistically. So we're looking at what, 7 minutes, or I'm sorry, 7 laps, 8 laps,
7
maybe
laps.
7-8 laps. So you know, if you're even if you're going to lose 2 seconds a lap, 2 by 7 is 14. That's a lot less than you're going to lose in a pit stop. But the caveat is you've got to keep that car on track with that damage, running that pace.
That's right. Yep.
Now,
and
it looks like he's doing okay. It looks like he's recovering mentally. He didn't get too frazzled, it looks like. So, I'm rooting for him to bring it home safely from here on out. But, you know, anything can happen in a race.
That's true.
You know, and look, and I'm rooting for him to bring it home safe. Just as we see a big wall hit from Melanson there, that is the kind of hit that gives you some suspension damage, not just aero. So we'll have to see what happens there. But you know, I'm rooting for Rosenthal here. He had a great quality. He's been running a really good race so far. He's still sitting on fastest lap of the race with that 2:01.7. You know, he's done everything realistically right. He's just had that one mistake, so you want to see him still do well.
Yeah, that's... Well, I mean, you always want to see everybody do well, right? But
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do.
One of those things, if someone's race is already kind of falling apart, it's like, oh, you know, you wish it hadn't, but it's a little bit less heartbreaking when it starts falling apart early on, and it's small things here and there versus, you know, one big thing with, you know, 3/4 of the way through. At least in my eyes.
Yep.
But I get what you're saying, and you're right. We don't ever want to see anyone have a bad race. We'd love to see everyone be in super close battles, you know, all 2 or 3 tenths off of each other for the entirety of the race, because that makes a ton of drama, a ton of excitement, and it's a great show.
And some races just don't have that. We're, you know, pretty spread out in this particular race at Mountain Panorama. But regardless of that, SRA has, you know, really good, clean drivers, good community, and you'll see some bumping on track and people, you know, letting others through, and this is a pretty good racing group.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, this is probably the best racing league that I've found so far. Certainly there are some that I haven't explored. I can't speak to any experiences with them, obviously. But SRA as a whole, like I said, I've been here since season 6. You know, there's a reason I'm still around.
Yep. Same here. I tried a couple different leagues or groups or clubs or whatever you want to call it beforehand, and I just ended up sticking around here. So,
Yeah.
Good racers. You know, like we said at the beginning of the broadcast here, bumps happen, accidents happen. You know, and most of the time, I'm going to say the vast majority of the time, it is unintentional, is not malicious. You know, of course, you're going to fight for your position, and we're racing here, right? These things happen.
Yeah.
But if you go into the chat after, you see people going, "Hey, sorry that happened. Wasn't my intention." We have a good-natured racing group here.
Absolutely, we do. And it doesn't, well, so it looks like Rosenthal's starting to fall off a little bit. His previous lap was in the 203s. This one was the 243. I'm not sure if he's getting held up by Melanson, or if the damage is really setting in. But even if it is, he's, you know, about 2-second delta off of his lap times. It still makes sense out as long as he can get on track.
Yep. So, like we thought, he's got some damage, and he opted for, I'm just going to fight through these last 15 minutes, try to hold on to a top 10, which, who can blame him?
Yeah, no, absolutely, because if he pits, he is absolutely out of the top 10. Probably not out of the top 20, but certainly not the points gain that he would. It's,
I'm going to go ahead and
stay out.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, though, with just over 10 minutes left out of an hour-long race, Anderson is up 15 seconds on second place of Demler. So this is looking to be his, third win of the season?
Third win.
That's after having been brought up from D5 after week 2.
Yeah, third win, and it's third in a row.
Yeah.
And he is going to be making up some massive points on his championship contenders, especially a lot of folks are making up some points on Sean Williams. Currently sitting P23 right now, so that front end damage and that pit stop definitely set him back quite a bit.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of uncanny if I'm thinking about it. For those who might have been watching Division 4 last season, we also had a very strong driver in a Ford Mustang, with back-to-back wins. So there's a lot to be said for those who can drive the Mustang fast.
I sure as heck ain't one of them.
Yeah, I'm not great in it either.
It's a lot like the Mercedes to me.
Yep.
You know, hey, like you said earlier, there are people who drive the Mercedes really, really fast. You and I just aren't those guys.
No, we are not. No, we are not. And you know, it isn't even a front engine, mid engine, rear engine type kind of thing, or else you could, you know, because like I said, I did fine in the BMW front engine.
Well, I mean, I did. And I did great in the Bentley, and you know, first championship was in the NSX, second championship was in the Bentley. So, and
last season I came 4 points from the championship in a Aston Martin front engine. So,
yeah, it's just Mustang just drives in a very particular way, and it's reminiscent of the Mercedes. And just they're two cars that I don't vibe with, but certainly there are, you know, as we can see with Anderson's 15-second lead, there are people who do vibe with it.
Yes, indeed.
Even locked onto this battle here between Garrity and Dutton for P3. Garrity's sitting just 4/10 off. Close up here and there, but he hasn't quite been able to make the move. But as we come down to the closing stages of this race, just 8 minutes remaining, I think we're going to see him start to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Right. What do you do if you're Garrity? You know, you're eyeing that. You're 3/10 away from 2/10 away now from a podium potentially, right? You're looking at the clock. You're saying, I've got. Well, they're coming around the straight right now. They've got 3, maybe 4 laps left.
Yeah.
So that's what he's got to get it done. If we're also looking at the fast laps here, Garrity's fast lap is a 2:01.9 essentially, and Dutton has a 2:02.1.5. So potentially Garrity has 2/10 of pace on him. It'll really just be a matter of kind of sitting in his mirrors and see if he can make a mistake. For
Yeah.
Dutton, it's going to be, can he just keep his eyes forward and be flawless for the next just under 7 minutes.
Yeah, and the other part of this that's going to be going through Garrity's head is he's sitting second in points. Don't know if he knows where Williams is sitting right now, down in P23. He is going to be cutting into that points gap pretty severely already. Bumping up to P3 is what, an extra 8 points, if I remember right?
I'm not sure. I was always bad at that math. Looking at, I got the chart somewhere, but you are not wrong. Where Williams is down in 22nd,
Yeah.
Garrity right now sitting in 4th, and on the season leaderboard, Garrity is 84 points behind Williams. At a minimum, that closes a heck of a gap.
I mean, I've got to think it at least cuts it in half. So a few extra
At
points
least.
would help.
At least, yeah.
Anderson's taking the fast lap with the 201.2, so I don't think anyone's going to be touching that. And improves to a 201.1. Dude is absolutely flying right now.
Yeah, that is 0.2 of a second. Then the 0.2 of a second faster than Rosenthal's fastest lap for the entire last 2 weeks of practice.
Yeah, because we did have this bye week in between, and
That's right.
that gave everyone an extra week to practice for Pano. Or
Yep.
to put off practicing.
Yeah, Anderson is definitely, the track has come up and he is definitely locked in.
It certainly seems to be that way. He's extended that gap out to 18 seconds now over Demler.
18 seconds, yeah.
Anderson's also standing to gain some really good points from this. He's currently sitting P7. He's going to make up some points on Johnston, who's down in 14. Is 5 in the Gold Championship. He'll make up some points on Moffitt, who's 7 in the race. Kyle Cumber is... Ew, well, missing him? Ooh, Cumber dropped completely, it looks like.
It does look that way, yep.
Hop over to Steven Music. It looks like he's going to try to make a move here on Scott Johnston going into turn 1. They've got Stephen Buckley right in front of him. Johnston's going to leave a little bit of a gap, make sure there's not an or make sure there's no contact going through turn 1.
And he's able to get it done clean. Good job.
Yep, now he's got to get to work on Buckley and the Lexus, which that Lexus should be pretty fast in a straight line here. Johnston, I think, just not, or I'm sorry, Stefan just not. I don't think he's having a great race overall. Had a few issues here and there. Always unfortunate to see. Let's see. So Cumber looks like he's dropped out, so he's not gonna do anything. Garrity's P2 and Williams P1. So let's see. What's our gap? Anderson is like 143 points. I mean, I've got to think he's gonna make up 70 or so. So he's gonna cut the lead that Sean has by half. I think Garrity's gonna do about the same. No, it can't be 70 points. Williams is P22.
It's definitely gonna shake things up there in the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story here. Is this is going to be a week of change. Although I do,
Yes, indeed.
barring anything really wacky happen, I think Sean's still going to retain the points lead. I don't think anything's going to do that, but it is going to get a lot closer going into Olton Park, which is another track that's notorious for a little bit of chaos. Very bumpy racing surface. Tough to stay consistent that track. Garrity is right on the back of Dutton, and he is looking to make a move. He is making his presence known. We've got 2 minutes remaining, so let's see. Anderson's up there. Don't know if we're going to get the white flag this time. They got 1 or 2 more laps. So Garrity, if he wants this podium position, he has got to make a move right here, right now.
And you know, we had a comment in chat here asking if there's any battles going on further down the pack, and I got to tell you, that's been kind of the story here for the rest of the pack, is they've been very spread out. There just has not been a lot of battles backpack today.
Yeah, we've got
There's usually 1 or 2, something going on, but
we've got a 3-way here with Madison, Mellinson, and Moffat. Mellinson and Moffat, of course, teammates in the Mustang. As you can see, they're very American liveries.
M cubed.
Mertz and Ramirez are fairly close to each other and close to Rosendahl, who has dropped back to P after that fortunate incident over Skyline. Garrity's fallen back just a little bit. He's 7/10 off of Dutton right now. Pit window has closed, but everyone's taken a pit stop already. That is.
Yeah, we have really stacked up from 5th place through 10th, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. This has all kind of happened pretty quickly.
Yeah. Everybody had kind of spread out, and I think they said, time to go for it.
I think this is going to be the white flag lap.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm sorry, the checkered flag lap, actually. Or
Checkered?
we'll say checker at the end of this. The end of this lap, we should be taking the checkered flag.
Yeah, because your leader is just about to come into the final turn at Murray's Corner. That is going to be the race.
Take a look at Garrity. It looks like the battle between Moffat and Mellinson is a little bit. Oh, Garrity gets a bump there. I don't think he have a shot. Is Moffat pulls up alongside. Looks like he is going to get around. He hip checks Robichaud or Addisy.
And then off in the grass.
Yeah, no way to get slowed down when you're off on the.
Nope, not coming through the chase.
We'd have to go back and take a closer look at that. Just, oh, there's contact. Is, I don't know if Madison maybe squeezed a little too hard, or if Moffat swung wide, or column A, column. So that is going to be Anderson with the race win. Demler in second. Garrity. Looks like Garrity might have gotten around Dutton somehow there at the end, although I think that might just be they've pulled into the pits and Garrity's pit stall is ahead. Moffat P5, Mellinson P6, Madison P7, Rosenthal holding down P8. Certainly not the result he was hoping for, but still a strong finish overall. Is going to extend that points lead, silver championship. Mertzen in P9, Ramirez P10. Hey, let's see.
All in all, that was a pretty exciting race and an extremely strong finish for Anderson.
Absolutely, it was. I mean, I have to say it's kind of expected. He's been really strong the second half of the season. Since getting moved up here into Division 4, he was right near the top of the leaderboards. It's to say it wasn't expected. We knew
This is true.
barring incident, which of course, Pano, there's any number of possibilities of what could have happened there.
Mhm.
You know, we were expecting him. With that said, I think let's go ahead and pull into our here and have a quick interview with the winner.
Sounds good.
Hey, Aaron Anderson, how are you doing this evening? Congrats on the win.
Good. How are you guys? Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you started on pole, you took fastest lap of the race, and you finished first. You took it flag to flag. So walk us through that. What was the biggest thing that you did right this evening?
Stay out of the wall. I was all week. I was practicing, and I get a couple laps in, it would be up in the wall, and so I was kind of working on a higher downforce race setup that I could run consistent, and then I had a crazy low drag setup just to try to get myself up front. And I saw I was like a tenth or two off during the week. I'm like, okay, like I'm in the ballpark. Well, then we get to the session, the warm up before the race, and I had PB'd, somebody else had PB'd. I'm like, all right, just the same as last week. Like you gotta be on it if you want poles. So then it's just kind of pole qualifying. There are some really fast guys a lot of fast guys who are capable of getting on pole any week, and it's definitely getting harder and harder to continue to do this.
Well, we had noticed that, if I'm not wrong here, you going back and forth with the fastest lap of the race with some of the other racers, and towards the end there, you put down a 201.
201.1.
Was it a 201.1? That was 0.2 of a second faster than the top hot lapper for the last 2 weeks of Rosenthal, putting down a 213. So you had a heck of a lap there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching very closely where Williams was at, and I saw that I was coming up to lap him, and I'm not gonna lie, I wanted that so bad. It was like that little carrot in front of me, just to, hey, I'm here, and I'm gonna try to chase you in these points. I'm gonna try to make this interesting. So yeah, I wanted to come after him, and I wanted to make that pass on him. So I just kept the hammer down.
Speaking of points, you were in 7th place with 246, and Williams was in first with 389, so you were back 143. Well, race win plus pole, what is that, 111?
112.
112. So if you want to gain points, you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I was trying. Like I said, I saw him back there, and then I saw I didn't have the fast lap. I'm like, well, I have to capitalize on him having a bad week. So I'm like, all right, like hammer down. We're not playing it safe here. There's like 18 minutes left. I'm like, just another qualifying session. It's just time to go.
Yeah, being where you were kind of able to just hot lap it out, weren't you?
Yep. And it's another week. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if maybe you need to get some of the D4 guys together and we need to do some pit stop practice, because it was like 4.4 when I go in, and then I'm close to 11 when I come out. I just keep breaking these guys on the pit stop, and I mean, I'll keep taking it, but I'm curious. I don't know what it is, why the pit stop just seems to be what's helping me out the most, getting away from these guys.
Yeah, I think part of it's I think just the fact that the pit stop is probably the least fun thing to practice.
Yeah.
And really, I think at Pano, it's not even going to be the thing that's the most important in most people's minds. It's just because you're trying to stay out of the wall the entire time, and so you're really trying to just do as many laps as you can, build the muscle memory, and even try to maybe do a little bit of door-to-door practice and just try to figure out, exactly where you can try to make things happen. And so I think a lot of times, especially at a track like this, people are going to kind of forget to really practice the pit in as much.
And Panorama has a short in and a short out for the pits. It's not like Spa, where you're really thinking about it. Hey, I might have to practice this because it's a long pit. But nonetheless, you were able to capitalize on that and make good time.
Yeah, it sure was. I probably wouldn't have gone for fast lap if he would have been hovering right at that 4 seconds. I was doing all I could to try to break away from him. But then when I saw that it was up at 11, I'm like, okay, I can afford a mistake, a little brush with the wall, and he's not going to be right up on me. So then it was time to flip on the afterburners and try to get that fast lap.
That was pretty brave, because you totally could have just kind of set it on cruise control.
Yeah. Well, right on. Well, hey, congrats on the win, man. We'll have to do a little bit of points calculations to see exactly where you're going to be sitting, but I think you're going to make up some. Might be surprised at where you end up for going into next week.
I'm hoping so. Thank you for streaming. Thanks for having me. I love going back and watching these, and thanks for all the work you guys put in as well.
Hey, well, thanks for putting on a great show for us, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we'll send you back down to the D3 race chat so you can do race review and celebrate your win. Cheers, bud.
All right, thanks, boys.
All right, let's see if we can grab our second place finisher, Ian Demler. Ian, how are you doing, buddy? Congrats on second place.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm doing well.
Good, glad to hear it. So walk us through, what was kind of the biggest thing that you did right tonight?
Qualifying. I mean, it's pretty simple in that one. I like to call Bathurst the Monaco for GT3, but faster. It's not only a race of speed and whatnot. It's a race of survival and keeping yourself out of the walls. And so that was the big goal, is to stay out of trouble.
Well, you certainly seem to do a good job of that. And you know what? I haven't heard anyone call it the Monaco of GT3s, but that is a pretty apt description, I think. I think you're right on the money there. So second place, you qualified really well. You weren't quite able to get around Anderson, but you're staying in touch with him for a really good portion of the race there. And so you say qualifying went well, but I think the other part of that too is, like you were saying, surviving. What was some of the challenges that you kind of came across there?
Well, I actually got an amazing start off the start. I picked up a position right away, and my initial thought process at that point was, okay, just settle in, stick behind these two. And I can't remember who it was that was in front of me, but he died on the mountain. And then, like you said, keeping in touch with Anderson, and we were kind of sticking between 3 to 4 second range based on traffic. But about 30 minutes in, I was definitely feeling a lot of lateral slip. And so I was trying to time it out to where next thoughts was timing your pit stop out to where you have sufficient time and on fresh rubber and whatnot. But then I screwed up my pit. So
Gotcha. What happened in the pits there?
I overdrove, so it had to back me up, and then it lifted and then dropped the car right away. And then when I started the engine, I must have done it just a tad second too soon, and it stalled when it dropped. So when I came out of the pits, I was not expecting to have Rosenthal right on the backside of me. I was really hoping that I would have at least a lap to get some proper temperature in the tires and not trash them right away. Then he unfortunately had an incident on the mountain himself too, and so at that point it was okay, just conserve, try to keep lap times, right around the 2:02.5 to 3 second range, and basically stay off curbs. Don't force an error. Basically,
Right.
There's no reason to push at that point. You had a 6 second gap. It was maintain.
Nice. Well, you did a heck of a job, man. You qualified really well with your right there on the second row. I think qualified P3, right? Because you're on the inside line.
No, I was actually P4. I got
Okay.
beat out by who was it?
Oh, it was Dutton.
Dutton beat me out, like I think in his last lap of qualifying, which I was okay with because I've never been on the pole. So my thought, I was asking the guys in the voice chat, I'm like, I really don't want to be on pole because I'm probably gonna get a false start penalty or something.
No, fair enough. But hey, you did a good job, and Dutton might have qualified in front of you, but you finished in front of him.
Yeah, I'm just happy. I guess it's a class win and P2 overall. Finally, I've not had a really good stretch of luck lately, so it feels good to actually have a good result and yeah, no penalties again this week. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
That is a
that's
win,
applause
yeah.
worthy right there. Especially in Pano here, staying out of trouble is really the biggest thing. But to come away with a class win is huge, and especially to silver class win, but you're on the podium P2. That's awesome. That's got to feel great.
It does, and I was actually kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, I really hope he doesn't catch me. I mean, he's in P2 either way in his class. Let me have it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, here's the thing. Even if he had still P3 overall, still a podium, and still silver class win, but certainly it will help you come back in the points championship a little bit. I know you're a little ways down there, but...
I am a ways down, but it's all right. I think Wheezy picked me up for fantasy this week, so you're welcome.
Well, there you go. Queasy reaping some massive rewards here for picking up our P2 winner for our SRA Fantasy League.
All right, guys.
Well,
Well, thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Congratulations again on the class win and the P2 overall. We'll go ahead and send you back down to D34 race chat.
Thanks.
Exactly.
Darren has too much time on his hands.
That's actually
Darren,
I was like, I don't know what the hell you're.
Who do we got
All right.
next?
And let's it was, why am I drawing a blank on the name we were just talking about? Dutton. S. Dutton, who I don't see in here. So I don't think we're going to be able to get an interview out of him. So with that said, let's take a quick look at our season calendar. So we just had round 6 here at Mount Panorama this evening. Got Alton Park coming up next week on the 12th. Alton Park is going to be a fun one. It's a mainstay of SRA. We all love Alton Park, but it's a very difficult track for GT. Very bumpy surface, a lot of tight corners. Going to be really close racing. It's not going to be as spread out, I don't think.
Well, let's say love is a really strong word. Really strong word.
Alton Park confirmed.
Yeah, Alton Park. I you know,
SRA. In the individual members of SRA may feel a little differently about Alton Park, but SRA loves Alton Park. This is the official
I know that's
stance.
true. Exactly. Hey, at least it isn't in the rain. Alton Park in the rain is the stuff of nightmares.
Alton Park in the rain is fun, but my goodness, is that a challenge that you're kind of happy it's over. But it's fun when it's happening.
That was a couple seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago in the rain.
I believe so. I know we did it season 8. It was Alton Park in the rain. But bringing it back on track, we've got round 7 next week on the 12th here for Division 4 for round 7 at Alton Park, and then we will close out the season the following week at Valencia, and that will be a night race. No daybreak. That will actually be during the night.
Very nice. All
right, and with that said, it's been great having y'all here in the chat. Great racing out here on track here at Mount Panorama. Matt, it's been fantastic having you in the booth with me, and I hope to continue seeing you around.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was able to moonlight here, and we had a great race, and I sure appreciate you having me along with you for the ride.
I appreciate you being along with me for the ride, man. All right.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, when we see you all at Alton Park, y'all have a good one and take care. Cheers, y'all.